Greetings, fellow scribes! Welcome back to the archive. This week I do one of my Tales from the Archive videos. I'm going to be telling a tale where I had my expectations of what the players were going to do. I had my plans, and the players went a completely different direction and changed everything. So, with that said, sit back, relax, and enjoy as I tell the tale of how my players caused the fall of Rome. Before I begin, let me just say, if you like this video, please click like and subscribe down below. Leave comments, follow me on Twitter, tell me what you like, what you didn't like, what you'd like to hear me talk about more of in the future. Support me on Patreon. Every little bit of support helps keep me in books so I can keep the channel going. With all that said, let's just get right on into this, shall we? So, to start off with, the players started off in a small, little, secluded mountain village. This village was kept hidden from the world for a very long time due to an agreement with a particular entity of the Fey persuasion. An entity who goes by the title The Puck. Yes, that Puck. And things happen, and the meticulously worded contract that offered the protection of the village got broken. And so, our group of heroes, who are basically the village troublemakers, get sent out into the world to make alliances, find support to help protect the village. Because while they know sort of what's going on out in the outside world, because they're allowed every X number of years to send someone out for a certain number of years to, get tidings, bring fresh genetic stock into the village. Bring fresh people. It really doesn't get a lot of the tidings of the outside world. Doesn't get a lot of the finer details of everything that's going on. And so, the heroes go out. Now, of course, they run into, on their way out, the group of wild elves. And right there, one of our players almost got the party killed. Because one of the key concepts of this particular game world is everything you know is wrong. And so, wild elves here are black-skinned, white-haired, and totemic. The different tribes of them follow different totems. And the particular one that was nearest to them followed a spider totem. So, needless to say, the player who likes to metagame decided he was going to get really paranoid and have an arrow drawn and ready as soon as he saw these drow. They weren't drow, they were wild elves. They were wild elves hunting an orc hunting band that passed through that area recently. So, needless to say, that was a very tense situation. But it got them directions after they calmed everything down to a nearby human village. Now, the players get to the village, and so far, everything is going pretty much like I expected. I expected our metagaming player to almost provoke a thing with the wild elves. I expected that. But what happens is, as they're waiting in the line to get into this walled settlement, the rogue and the barbarian start getting into it. They basically start making fun of and joking in such a way that, first off, it draws attention of the guards. And second off, it gets the guards to decide that they're insane. And that they would be disruptive to the nice state of order within the settlement. And so the entire party gets banned from the settlement. That gets told that they are not allowed in. And here's the first derailment. Because you see, what was supposed to happen was the party gets in, they become caravan guards, and they go up to the city of Rome as part of a caravan. Well, that didn't happen. Because of the actions of certain players. I'm like, okay, I can deal with this. And so, they head up to Rome. They, north, west, east, and south, all roads lead to Rome, sort of thing. And so they go up the road, they stay at the hostels along the way, the set up waypoints for travelers to stay at, paid for by the taxes of the fine people who live in the area, support Rome. And so they go. They follow the road. And eventually they get to Rome. Now, this time going in, the rogue and barbarian mostly behave. And so they get in. And as the players are entering the city, a couple things immediately stand out. First off, the menial tasks, the things that are generally being done by slaves in real-world Rome, are not being done by humans. They're being done by black-scaled kobolds. Now, of course, at this point, this is the first time the PCs have encountered something that's sentient, but not mostly human-looking. Because, elves are mostly human-looking. Humans are mostly human-looking. Puck is mostly human-looking. And so, this is the first time they encounter something like this. But they don't really think anything of it at the time. Because they're just dealing with the fact they're in this huge city and they don't have any of the currency. And so their decision is they're going to look around, see if they can find a job, get some work. Well, the previous emperor had just died. The new emperor, Commodus, is putting on a grand celebratory games. Now, of course, he's sticking by the old emperor's rules that, the gladiatorial combats are not to the death. And free people can compete, and that they're not slaves fighting in the arenas anymore. But, of course, the senators need people to fight for them. And so a senator sees this group of, well, they look like adventurers, because they're not in the clothes of regular Roman citizens, and they're armed. So they must be adventurers. And so he approaches them, offers them a job of, all they've got to do is fight in the arena. No one's going to get killed. We've got the finest healing magicians on hand, finest clerics available. They'll be able to keep you from getting killed. And so the PCs agree to send a number of them in. Now, the Ranger didn't go. The Rogue didn't go. They decided they were going to watch from the stands. The ones who went in were the Barbarian, the Fighter, and the Druid. Okay, so the Druid, his animal companion at this time is a wolf. And, okay, understanding, I didn't expect the Druid to go into the arena. I expected the Ranger, the actual combat person, to go into the arena. Okay, I can work with this. I'll make this interesting. I ask our Druid, so, are you going to make your wolf wait in the ready area? And he goes, no, I'm going to have my wolf come with me. Okay. I can work with this. Again, not what I was expecting, but again, I can work with this. And so, now, understanding, the Puck is a force of chaos. He does not want places of order and stability to last. And so, for fun, he'd ingratiate himself as an advisor to Commodus. And he whispered some words into Commodus's ear. And some of the PCs actually saw this. But again, they didn't think anything of it. And then as the gladiators are coming into the arena, Commodus looks at the Druid and makes proclamations about how dare he mock Rome by walking with a symbol of the founders as a mere pet. That he will personally go down and defend the honor of Romulus and Remus. And so the Emperor goes down, and he fights the Druid. It's a very close fight. The Druid almost dies. It comes down to, literally one hit point. And the wolf rushes Commodus. And criticals. And the Druid tries to save him. And the wolf criticals again. Because the wolf is mad. And at this point, the Emperor is dead. Oh, somewhere in the whole midst of this fight, there was an instance of the Druid summoning an eagle that did an attack on combat for one round and flew off. But that's besides the point. Other than the fact that it's another symbol from. That's besides the point. The Emperor is accidentally dead by a PC. I'm like, oh crap. What's gonna happen now? So there's this moment of silence as it dawns on everyone what's just happened. And then screaming starts from the stands. The screaming isn't from people realizing that the Emperor is dead. It's from people being stabbed by the kobold slaves. What better time to stage a slave revolt, an impromptu slave revolt, than when the Emperor just died and everyone's in this brief series of shock? Our Rogue and Ranger both use the immovable rods in their packs, get really high, and sit on them all night, all day, all night, till the next day. The gladiators in the arena and any legionnaires who are going to survive with them basically form a defensive ring, waiting. And the sun sets. It gets dark. In the gleaming moonlight, they see the glow reflecting off the eyes of the kobolds. All night. They hear screams from outside. They smell smoke and burning. And it comes the next day. And a kobold wearing a legionnaire helmet comes up and asks them to come with him. And they're eventually led to the palace, the Imperial Palace. And the new king of Rome, this new king of the city of Rome, a kobold himself, as there's pretty much no signs of human guards. Well, sorry, live human guards. There are mounds of bodies being burned. But that's expected. It's hygienic. And they get tasked with a simple mission. Escort their ambassador to the nearby tribe of wild elves. And they do this. And while this is going on, messengers have gotten out. Have gotten to the other legions. And 9 legions are marching towards Rome. Coming through 3 different approaches. One, the main road that goes over the Rubicon River. One, this area that passes in front of a dwarven stronghold. And this other that passes by the lands of the Wild Elves. Basically on the theory that 3 prongs, they can't defend against all 3. And so, the PCs get to see where the ford is. The ford that the Romans are going to have to come over. And they kind of notice, or should I say, the rogue, who's an herbalist, kind of notices some very specific plants over there. Mandrakes. And so, in preparation, because the Romans have to secure there, are going to have to dig in there to start off, he clips all the mandrake roots. No, sorry, he clips the leaves off all the mandrakes. Now understand, these are the mandrakes that when you pull them out of the ground, they scream, and anyone within a certain distance dies. So, they do that. And then they begin working out some plans. And they get invisibility cast on them. Well, our barbarian and our rogue get invisibility cast on them. As everyone realized, as at some point everyone's realized, the rogue has been on the journey up and on the journey over, has been gathering all sorts of herbs, many of which are poisonous, including such wonderful things as hemlock and belladonna. And so, they're made invisible, teleported over, and a group of elven blade singers go across, create a visible diversion, while these guys go, our barbarian and our rogue go, put poison into the water supply, into the wine of the commander. Now, here's where it gets really bad. About a company's worth of kobold troops have come up to help defend with the territory. And here was what the plan was. The legion commander, the commander of the 3 legions at this point, was going to come out and basically negotiate, because he knew a battle on that terrain could not be won. But he was poisoned, as were the 2 other legion commanders who knew the plan and could have continued it. And so you had the 3 legions executing a battle strategy by junior commanders. They died. 3 legions slaughtered, because junior commanders wouldn't give an order to withdraw, and those who didn't die from the poison were weakened by it. And you had kobolds coming up from the deeper water on one side of the ford, spearing them. And if they weren't being driven off the falls on the other side, they were dying to the spears, or to the elves on the other side, dropping spells and just keeping them trapped. And so 3 legions died at this ford. And this battle was not supposed to happen. Because this battle was actually fought at the site where a ancient dragon god died. And all that blood was being spilled on its lower jaw. All that death directly on the physical location of the God of the Dead's physical body. It has begun the process of waking that dragon god up, so he can begin his plan behind why he created this world in and of itself in motion. There is much more. The other legions fell to various other things. The ones coming over the dwarven-held area, well, they fell to dwarves. They fell to siege weapons and dwarves on giant armored rams. And I mean goats. The ones coming over the main road, they met a great dragon. It kind of melted the ground that they were on, or at least some of them, as its opening intro. But those are all details for another time, another story. Because at this point, the players had completely changed everything by going and doing things I didn't expect them to do. So, until next week, when I go into another in-depth series, I'd like you all to remember to have fun and keep gaming.